welcome to a TechTalk Podcast. My name is Liam. I look after the marketing here for those that may be unfamiliar with my face and my voice. To my left, I've got Mr. Mike Cardwell, and to my right, Josh Vanderveen. Thanks, boys, for joining me today.
Absolutely.
Pleasure.
If you guys didn't know, this episode is brought to you by the new Works Plus GK, what are we calling it?
GK Juice. It's got
GK Juice.
I can't believe it has no sugar.
I was going to get extra sugar in mine.
Guys, we've had a pretty big year, or pretty big start to the year, I should say. We got a new office, or we expanded the office, I should say, which is why we're in a new podcast room. We released a new website. We had Word of Concrete, where we unveiled our new grinders, the GK King series, which is why I wanted to have this conversation today. I thought we'd sit down, have a bit of a chat, and recap on how WOC went, and kind of give the people an idea for those that didn't get the chance to go.
Boots on the ground style scenario. Just a little mention to just a little thing called our new website as well, which it's definitely kicking off really well as well. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I thought we'd keep this conversation more around WOC.
Mm-hmm.
So before we kind of get into it, general overall thoughts about WOC. One word to describe what the experience was like for you.
It's hard to say, as I don't think I've actually recovered yet from the experience. But I think I'm going to have to say overwhelming. We're going to talk about it more in detail later on, but the one word would be overwhelming.
Awesome.
I want to say awesome, but I also want to say hectic. So I want to say hectic awesome, if you're after one word. But yeah, I mean, awesome, amazing, really, really cool. But there is that element of slightly hectic as well.
I'm going to say proud. It was all those things that you guys described, but my feeling around it is proud.
Less than a minute in and you're already hitting us in the feels, mate. Jeez.
So let's get into it. Why WOC 2025? This was our first time exhibiting at WOC. Josh, why did we decide that we needed to be at Word of Concrete 2025?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Liam. I mean, you head up marketing, so it would seem like you'd be the right person for that answer. No, just kidding. Look, I think we went to Word of Concrete 2024, and typically, at least Tim and myself have almost gone every year for the last couple of decades. And I guess in particular, after we went to 2024, we went there with Hayden from R&D and also with Kath and Mark from our sister company too, which is a contracting business, if you didn't know. And one of the things that we took away from there was that there were a few things. The quality that our contracting company was seen on display as this is polished concrete, they were like, we couldn't survive just doing this type of stuff. And they could see a lot of potential in the marketplace for better quality finishes and at speed as well. And for, I guess, the Works Plus team that was there at the time, we also saw a big consolidation of brands, of course, and not, I guess, more of a limiting of choices for the US market contractors. And at the same time, we could also see what we were doing in Australia as far as pushing the envelope for quality and for speed production of mobile manufacturing. We could see that we could probably bring something to the US market, and we had something already in the wings that we wanted to bring out globally anyhow, locally and globally. And we thought, well, what better time to bring it out than the World of Concrete? And I can answer that question now.
Please.
I can answer. There's a much better time to do it than 12 months away from where we were at when we thought we had plenty of time.
I remember start of 2024, after you got back from WOC, you were like, Liam, we've got a big year ahead of us. And I didn't really know what you meant by that, but we had a meeting, and you sat myself, Tim, and Hayden were in that meeting, and that was the first time when you kind of told us, well, we just went to Word of Concrete, and we need to be at the next one. We need to be there, and that was nervous. It was nerve-wracking hearing that, because never done it before.
Well, for context as well here, you'd also never been to the World of Concrete.
I've never been to the World of Concrete, no.
Prior to that. No. So you didn't know what it was about.
So we had a lot ahead of us to put something together. And I remember Hayden and I just sitting there and asking the question of, all right, are we really going to do this? And that was the moment where it was just like, yep, we're doing it. And there was no other way. It was all in.
Absolutely. It certainly was.
Your first Word of Concrete as well, Mike?
My first Word of Concrete, I think the question to you was why WOC 2025 for Works Plus? It's world domination. Kidding, of course, but joking, not joking. But I guess it was just having that world stage, coming from the automotive industry. As a young car salesman, I was always planted at the Melbourne International Motor Show.
Yeah. So
I kind of imagined a similar type thing. So what a perfect stage to not only present at for our product offering and our tooling range and that sort of thing there as a standalone thing, but never alone having the GK series to as a launch as well, which what better stage. I could imagine, because you're right, I hadn't been to one, but I kind of envisaged that sort of thing. So yes, world domination and what a fantastic platform. I had obviously a bit of a cruise around online and that sort of thing. I thought that to launch this GK series, Grinder series, but also to launch Works Plus on a bit more of a world stage and into the US market and that sort of thing there. So that was sort of my thoughts around it for sure.
And for those that are tuning in that haven't heard of World of Concrete, World of Concrete is the world stage, or world's largest stage, and it's a big trade show where exhibitors showcase all things concrete. Absolutely. All things concrete. So, big stage for us to be a part of. I thought maybe we can get into describing to people what it took for us to get there and kind of paint the picture a little bit to our listeners, the road, what that road looked like for us getting to WOC 2025. We had an amazing setup for those that had the chance to join us there or see it online, but it wasn't an easy road. So start of 2024, you told us, hey, we want to be at Word of Concrete 2025. Can you help paint the picture a little bit, Josh? Did we have grinders yet then?
We did not have grinders yet, and I guess we'll leave that up to Tim and Hayden to talk about more in another podcast, because there's a lot around that subject. As we've said before, usually in a company this size, you might take on two big projects for a year, and they'll get you through the year. And I think you and Kylie discovered that we had 8 large projects on, World of Concrete being one of them. In February of 2024, it looked like we had plenty of runway to organise this.
Oh, yeah.
And we started straight away. We found out exactly decided how we would like to be able to present. There's a whole lot of things around presenting, of course, at an exhibition. And another layer for us in particular, compared to many of it's a predominantly local show, is that we had to get everything over there from over here. Plus, we had to organise a lot of things over in the US from here as well. And then these are never easy things to do when they're standard. But what we were asking for was also not a standard booth. So we had to ask a lot of questions and learn a lot along the way. And it was very, very difficult to find resources or even a starting point. And I think that was probably one of the most frustrating parts, was it, Liam?
Oh, so many hurdles just to try and find the right partners, the right suppliers. But when we did, like it was incredible just to be able to find the right people to work with us on the project. It took a long time to get there.
But you make it sound so easy. I mean, so February, by March, we had all the supplies that we needed. We made all the phone calls and worked it out.
What people can't see is where directly in front of us is the old calendar, which has got an old drawing of a very old layout of what our booth space would look like. It looks nothing like what we actually presented with.
It also has the timeline on there of all the expectations, all of the targets that we had. And how compressed it all came. So just so everyone knows, you could probably organise to be at the World of Concrete inside of 2 months.
Well, it kind of felt like, it's pretty much what we did, didn't we? I mean, to kind of paint the picture, I guess, we had 4 containers that were built for our setup, plus the concrete slab. Those containers, I don't think they got built till November.
Yeah. So it took from February till October to find the right people to carry out this task. Mm-hmm. That was a lot of work.
Yeah, so much work, and there were more than one occasions where we were very nervous and kind of scared that we weren't going to have products arriving on time. We're not going to have the containers that we wanted for the show, for the setup. So a lot of scary moments in between. Yeah,
so I think by July we had a pretty firm timeline on when items need to be completed in order for us to meet freight or shipping time frames and that sort of stuff. And that's I think when we started to feel the pressure, because there were so many pieces of the puzzle which were not yet together, and even from the container finalising, once we finally came to a decision on the shipping containers, the layout, we then had to go to work on how are we going to actually display all the items that we have. And we didn't have we actually rented a shipping container for a month to help us.
That's right.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We got a 40-foot container just to help us wrap our heads around how is this all going to work? What's it going to look like? We have shipping containers coming and going here all the time, but they're normally here for a day or two. They get loaded and off they go again. Mm-hmm. So we didn't have a lot of time to play with those. And in particular, this shipping container had an open side to it. So not our typical type of container. And so we had that here for a month just for us to wrestle with the idea of creatively how we're going to present all of this. And then the container left, and then we had to sort out on the floor.
That's right.
how we would do all of this. So everything that you saw displayed on the walls there was already set out on the floor first.
Maybe we can put a picture on how that floor looked like with all the products laid out on the floor. It was a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of work for you guys. Look, really, apart from a bit of input here and there, I guess myself and the sales team, our general consensus was, the amount of pressure and what was happening in these closed door meetings and a bit of feedback we'd hear here and there about what you guys are up to and all that sort of thing. I mean, our biggest general consensus was let's just keep the pressure off. For the general business and things like that. Let's just get out there and keep things firing. So as far as the business side of things goes, it was a bit of a not to worry for you guys anyway. So that was sort of our main effort. Apart from that, of course, was drumming up a bit of interest as well, getting the word out there. And absolutely. I think the amount of times that I said, if you're like me and I've been with Works Plus and in the industry, I guess, for 5 years, always wanted to go to World of Concrete. If you're like me, then this is the one you got to go to. This is the one to go to. So, yeah, I think just trying to get that word out there and promising people there's going to be this new shiny machine to see and things like that. But I think it was done pretty well. I don't think there was really any sort of leaks or anything like that in the months leading up to or anything. So I think, everyone sort of did a big job with saying a lot without not saying much at all. So it was good. But again, just to see the amount of work that I know all you guys were putting into organising everything and everything else, we just thought, well, let's just see if we keep the pressure off you guys from that end as best we could.
Yeah.
But did a very good job, guys. Absolutely. And yeah, to see that big sprawl of products out down, to see how the layout was going to happen and all that sort of things when it started to come to fruition a little bit, and a bit of excitement. It was good. Yeah.
Well, that kind of leads me to going back to my word on what I described the experience of Word of Concrete, and that was proud. The months leading up to it, as well as the days we spent setting up the show, the team really came through. That was easily the highlight for me of the show, was just seeing all of our team come together, and like everyone just gave their absolute all to make sure that we had an awesome setup and an awesome show. Everyone put in like 150% more. I mean, to give you guys an idea, the day before the show, we were there setting up until 1:30 in the morning in like -2 degrees weather.
So cold.
Just shivering in the cold, but getting it done. And that was awesome. Like seriously, easily my favorite part was just seeing everyone getting their hands dirty and making it happen. We had a bit of a chat about this, Josh. A lot of the bigger companies there, they had a dedicated setup team that would come and set up the booth. They would then finish their job, and then the show staff would come in. We had to be there from start to finish. It was epic. It was really, really epic. So, big shout out to everyone that was involved.
Absolutely. Another thing that we didn't have when we got there is Hayden and I and his partner Vanessa, we got there a week earlier than you guys because we had a full week of running around of sourcing materials still to get everything finished before the show started. And I've said this before, I was driving to another supplier on the Friday, and that's when most of the team was coming in. And it dawned on me, I still got another week of this. and it was like, man, it was I guess it was like, just reach base camp at Everest. It was just like, oh, far out, we still got to go to the top. And Hayden and I and Vanessa were already so wrecked from, working 16, 18 hours a day already to get to the point we were at. So it was a bit of a moment there for the 20 seconds I had. Then I had to do something. Of course.
Mike, do you want to describe to everyone what our setup looked like, and just kind of paint the picture a little bit?
Pretty much that open face container we were talking about before is basically two of those side by side with a slat wall. Yeah. And that was pretty much the blank canvas, and then just crates of goods, products, machinery, everything, waiting in the wings for everything to get done. And I thought, okay, so we're going to have to get this stuff set up on the wall, and we've got some signage and a flow and how we want to do it and everything. And it's just like, no, actually, can you help Regan? Shout out to Regan from ProGrinder. I think I was a pretty good apprentice that Regan actually had to lay out and set in place the vinyl floor in the two containers. So I got stuck in the labouring for him and trying to keep him fed with vinyl tiles and things like that.
And you had a leg that wasn't working 100%.
Yeah, I was carrying a bit of an injury, but no, all good, and put the brave face on. We're ready to go, and that was actually kind of cool to hook into that with Regan. And then, as I say, then it was a matter of this beautiful big red slat wall with some signage as a bit of a guide of getting products up onto the wall in a good flow of the process start to finish. So at the wall would, I guess, tell a bit of a story. So it had a real functionality to it, but also had to look good too, right? Absolutely. So yes, hopefully you see some pictures and things like that, and I think we were all pretty proud, and I was certainly proud of the way it looked, and I thought it looked great, and the functionality side of it without skipping ahead too much in the notes here, but the amount of times I was talking about polished concrete as a product in its own right, and then to be able to step into that container and walk them right through the process or our process of tooling and process of how to get to achieve such a good product and a good looking floor and everything, just that functionality just shone right through, and it looked good doing it.
Yeah.
So that was from my aspect anyway. And then I think there were definitely different aspects, and you'd look around and there were so many different things going on, and you'd sort of stop and pause for a minute and just watch that going on, and then watch this being set up and watch that, and they're missing. Oh no, there they are over there, and they're on that, and it was just. It was hectic, but it was an organised chaos. I guess that might be my 2-word description of what organised chaos, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
So that's certainly from my my side of it as well.
Yeah. So the product wall was definitely a nice highlight of our setup. Obviously, we had the grinders as well, but we'll get to that in a little bit. A big part of the show, of course. But we also had our concrete embedded logo and our polished slab, which I got to say was probably about 80% of the conversations I had with the people coming to our booth. Just
prior to the machine launch.
Yeah, prior to the machine launch, talking about how awesome the floor looked and questioning how we got this logo happening onto the floor. So. Josh,
I was going to say I didn't want to steal Josh's thunder.
Yeah, you want to walk us through the process on what that was like? We had a concrete slab which we polished up, and in front of it we had our logo embedded into the slab.
It was a nightmare, and this was not the first time we'd done it, because we had this idea already. I think mid-year about having this logo in the concrete just for something different. And so we actually did a mock-up test of this in Australia. And of course, when we did it over here in Australia, we did it in the heat of summer. And so what we were battling was the products going off very quickly. And so that was the difficulty, was trying to get everything in place and the way that we wanted it to before it went off. And so we were prepared for that going into winter. We were prepared for that, and we went to Vegas in the middle of winter, and our challenges were the absolute opposite. Actually trying to get the materials to go off, because the way that it worked out, and it was not the plan like so many. The plan was to get the cementitious products installed in the morning, so the heat of the day would help them to dry and to therefore cure. But the way the cookie crumbled was each day those materials would find their way into the slab towards the afternoon. So they had the coldest part of the day to try and dry and cure, these are the worst scenario you could create for yourself.
And how much time did you have to do this? Yeah,
okay. So we worked with the team there that did to do the concrete for Freeman, and I think we had Thursday the pour. So on Thursday is the day that the concrete went in, and that is when we had a big foam cutout go into the concrete at the time of install, and then we got access to play with it on the Saturday. So by Saturday we were removing the first stage of the foam buck, and that then meant that we would install another rapid set concrete for, it was 4 inches thick, the slab. So we aimed to fill it up with about 3 inches of rapid set concrete, and then once that had dried, we put our own mixture in the last 1 to 1.5 inches. So there was 2 stages to each of those pours, and so that was the Saturday we did one, and then of course we did the next stage on the Sunday, and we had to do a small amount of grinding to it on the Saturday as well. So we actually had to wait for it to cure out before we could pull out the second stage buck to get the next 2 pours in, and so we were really up against the wall, even though all of the materials that we were using were fast drying, just not not for these temperatures. So it's worst case scenario the whole way through that we created for ourselves. And so, yeah, by Monday, we were really up against the wall because by Monday we had the pores in, but they were nowhere near cured. But by 10 a.m., we had to hit these things with grinding in order to get the rest of the slab completed. And of course, because we're getting onto it so fresh, we're also doing some more damage to it, which we would then have to come back and do repairs to later on in the day. So there was just crap on top of crap on top of crap, really.
I mean, you talk about that. I imagine, forget the logo.
That's what I was thinking.
Just even
forget it.
I mean, to even present a floor, like never alone an embedded logo, I thought was super impressive. And then, of course, in typical Works Plus style, it wasn't just a quickly polished floor; it was a premium polished floor with a surface polish and a full exposure, and an embedded logo. Like, I mean, within how many how many weeks? No. Sorry, that was days.
Days, yes. Yeah. And the funny thing about having the fully exposed aggregate and polished in the surface polish section is that we also laid it out in such a way that we wanted people to be able to appreciate the amount of material that needs to be removed to get to that full aggregate exposure. So we cut some saw some score marks in the floor.
Yes.
Around the border, so you could appreciate the strong edge. Otherwise, if it was tapered off, you might not be able to
gets a bit lost
to appreciate it. So we did that, thinking if we do that, then attendees are going to see it and go, "Oh, yes, that's a reasonable amount of material that has to come off to get that type of finish." Instead, people came and their expectation was that they were two different slabs.
Yes. Yeah. No, it really did look like two different slabs in a good way, but it really did show the difference between. I think it was, I just think it was pretty amazing, that floor, never alone the logo, like that was just crazy. And when I said before that setting up the wall and that sort of thing, you'd take a moment just to have a quick look around. I was kind of looking over your way a lot because it's like, what are they doing now? How are they going?
Well, everyone's waiting for the logo to be finished so we can finish the rest of the floor. Our backs against the wall.
No, it was pretty awesome, I got to say. Yeah, it was pretty
How long do you usually tell guys to have the slab cure before they start working on it?
Look for a grey slab. It'd be nice to have 14 days.
That's minimum.
Yeah. Yes. We had like 3 days.
Yeah.
Insane. But hey, it really paid off because, like I was saying before, like everyone was just so taken back by it. And like you were saying, everyone was thinking that we had different slabs, but it was all one slab, same concrete throughout the whole thing.
I said before that, polished concrete in its own right was a real draw cut. I mean, the first thing that got them looking at the floor was that embedded logo. So moving forward, Josh, every year, mate. And we're going to make it bigger next year. And
look, I guess we kind of make it sound like it was all about this floor and it was all about the display, but those were the things that we got to do, once everything had actually finally gotten there.
Yes.
Okay, because you're waiting for things to come from storage and from other places, and you've got part A, B, and you've got D, but you don't have C, and you can't do any of the other stuff until that gets there. So everything's a waiting game, just waiting for everything. And then throw in another curveball, and this happened the whole time it seemed. It's like, okay, we didn't talk to you guys about this previously, but before you guys can do anything, we're going to have to strap your shipping containers to the ground and then drill these really big pins into the ground to keep them secure. Although we've never ever done this in the past, now we've had a look at yours, and that's what we're going to need to do. Yeah, but that's where we had planned for another piece of like another banner to go, and you're basically placing items in front of where we need to fix to. Oh yeah, well that's not really our problem. It's like, okay, well now we have another curveball to deal with, and now we're going to have to, we don't have time to pivot here. So we have to come up with another option, and it seemed like that just happened on a not even daily but an hourly basis.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole way through, from start to finish, was just curveballs galore.
It's a good thing the timeline just kept on extending for us.
Oh, the best part about all of the work that we put into it all? that it got broken down at the end of it all.
It was temporary, yes.
And Josh wanted to stay on an extra week so he could do the breaking.
I was already broken.
I think I might have cried just seeing the logo get broken down.
No, I mean, yeah, you've got, and I know we're trying to save it up a little bit, but with the machines, with that logo embedded in front of it, I mean, it just drew people in, and then they just filtered through the entire stand, the display wall, and it just such a great flow. It worked so well. So I guess hats off to you guys because if that was the plan, it worked really well.
Yeah, the plan definitely came together, didn't it, Josh?
It worked really well.
Well, then why don't we get into it then? Big part of the show, the reveal and the unveiling of the Grindworks King Series grinders. Long anticipated. Everyone has been waiting for it. So have I. So have you guys, I'm sure. Walk us through it.
Oh, I thought you were just going to shove a microphone into my hand like you did 5 minutes before the reveal and say, "Hey, Mike, go out and drum up the crowd a little bit," and that sort of thing there. So, I'm a little shy. Not really. So, look, I did enjoy jumping on the microphone and kind of revving everyone up a little bit. I guess, putting the loud voiceover, having a bit of a countdown, try and draw people in. I think we ended up with a good sort of amount of people there and excited people, and Jake from Grindstones, and absolutely, so it was great to be able to drum up that bit of interest. Again, a little bit nervy, but I think they did all right. And then Tim did sort of grab me by the arm and said, "Oh, we want to do a countdown," and I thought, "Oh, that's a good idea." So certainly, I do remember walking, I had the headpiece on and walking in front of the machines with the covers on them and just saying to everyone that, look, you might have heard of our story in the last year or so trying to get these machines ready. And I said, but it's been going on a lot longer than that. And the brainchild, and I sort of said, I really feel, and I kind of went like that. And when I did that, I may have choked up a tiny bit, I'm not going to lie. But then, to have that then hand over to Jim and Josh and Hayden and to see them talking about everything, and then I got to admit it was a bit of an honour to then pause everyone for a second and count down the 5-point countdown, and then it was revealed, and to see and hear all that crowd and Jake from Grindstones all go pretty crazy over this thing that they really had no idea what they were going to be presented with. It was great to see them blown away. Just as we were in the reveal videos before we flew out at Christmas. But so from my aspect, it was pretty amazing. Amazing, and did hit me in the feels a bit, and then great to just be able to open this big mouth and just start telling everyone about it, because we've been all bowling it up, and to turn around and again I do like to take that quick second and just have a look around and to see every single person on that stand just gas bagging with people about this thing that's just been launched. It was awesome. It was really good. Goosebumps now. So that was from my point of view anyway. I
got to say, from my point of view, it exceeded my expectations completely on how it would go down. Having the crowd there and having everyone so excited about it, and same thing for me. Sorry, definitely an emotional experience, and it kind of caught me off guard a little bit. But I think it was kind of just a big build up. Like everything we had worked towards was for that moment, and it was just such a special moment for us, for the team, and I think for everyone that was there. That when it happened, it just kind of hit me like a whirlwind of emotions. And I think even talking to Hayden, he had a bit of a tear in his eye too. A really, really special moment.
And a shout out back home as well, because of course I'm blabbing on about this machine to people that's just been on it. I'm bzz, 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 phones buzzing in my pocket like a wild thing. And then I've reached it out and I've just scrolled through all the messages and notes that had come through at X o'clock in the morning here back in Oz. And the hype was real. It was really good. And a lot of people that have really put their their hand up to say that they want to be involved with the when these machines hit the ground and that sort of thing. And it was just the well wishes and the notes and the thumbs up and everything that was coming in was awesome from back home as well. So shout out, it was very much appreciated.
How was it for you, Josh?
Well, I'm already married, so I've already had all that moment. So, no, for me, I said you asked me before what word would sum up World of Concrete 2025 for us, for me, and overwhelming. Overwhelming on so many scales. It was the workload of everybody in the team throughout the business, getting to that point from February to that day at 11 a.m. There was an amazing amount of work, a big team effort. And so that was overwhelming in and of itself. Just seeing everyone step up to deliver was a big deal. Obviously, the long hours leading up to it in that very short space of time and the way that everything came together, from suppliers locally wanting to help out, going above and beyond to want us to be successful at the show, and just allowing us, whether it was access to the yard where all of the storage yard after hours, whether it was loaning us generators and that sort of stuff for testing and for filming. Yeah, we made a video as well in that gap. Oh, yeah. Okay, the machine video was also made during that week too, on a machine that I'd never seen yet. Right? So just the willingness for everyone to get involved and help us do more than what they were asked to, and then on that 11 a.m. On the Tuesday for the reveal, I wasn't expecting that many people to turn up. I did not really expect that. And for me, that was just like, get mic'd up. Let's go out there and, oh, crap, there's a whole lot of people here. And I just I did not expect that. And on top of that, the support that we got from other manufacturers who also came to see and encouraged us while we're at World of Concrete, and just expressing their joy and happiness to see what we'd brought along as well. For me, that was overwhelming. That people who might consider themselves as competitors actually coming over and giving you a pat on the back and saying, "Hey, that's really awesome, well done." That to me was very overwhelming, and of course to see the whole team being able to share in that as well. No, not the whole team that was at World of Concrete that was there, being able to see that as well is a big deal, because the only, I guess, drawback is that would have loved the entire team, because even the team back in Australia had to watch from a distance, but every single person has contributed to this. So that just adds to, I guess, the overwhelmingness. Freeman, we were told they were going to be hard to work with and they were going to be horrible. So watch out. And they were so good for us. They worked so hard for us. And just the collaboration from them was terrific. Even from Informa, Sue, the outdoor manager, she was just fantastic to work with, and we'd been told the same. But we had nothing but really good things to say, just so much help, and just, overwhelming just by the support of everyone that was there, in the ways that they contributed and in the feedback. So, I would agree with you 100%. Every person that we got to work with, the people, made a huge difference to the way it all worked out in the end. So, and then we revealed a new machine we had already seen, and no one else had actually seen so much of it before. So it was to see, I guess, the look on people's faces when they saw it for the first time, and the eagerness to get close to it and have a better look. Yeah, that was also very satisfying. Yeah.
And it wasn't easy to keep under wraps, to try and hide these machines. They're not very small items, are they? I mean, when we were doing the setup for the show, we had to to grind and polish with Frank, the unsung hero,
Yes.
who got the floor done for us. We couldn't grind with the GK series because we didn't want to have them out in the open and for the prying eyes to see before the show.
Frank did his job.
Frank did his job, to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely.
But look, we can talk about the grinders all day, but I think we should save that conversation to have with Tim and Hayden, who can dive into the details for us.
Well, you did have a, I guess, what was it? Grinder. Then you said any highlights of the GK.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll say some highlights, not specifically about the machine, but certainly around the machine is Josh definitely stole one of mine a minute ago. I wanted to say about just seeing other people's reactions. I spent a lot of time here prior to the show talking about a lot of things, not being able to say what it was, but sort of things that it wasn't. So it was nice that these people are going to see all me tiptoeing around these things that when they saw it, I'm sure it was all worth it. Just on that too, I had Ben from Ozcut, distributor in Queensland. Also Adam and Mark from BR Construction Supplies in South Australia. Jason from Mega Diamond Tooling over in New Zealand. They were all there at the show, and also Ryan from Concrete Hire in WA. He shot through, I think, a couple of messages as well at the launch and that sort of thing. But to have those guys there and to get their direct feedback, which each day of the show, they all came and spent about an hour each day on the stand, had a play with the grinder and that sort of thing. We did have a bit of a dinner out with them as well, to sit around a dinner table and have a relaxed, good conversation about the machine and everything. It was just fantastic to hear their feedback from these guys out in the industry and that sort of thing, and that was awesome. That was a personal, real big highlight for me. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there. It was fantastic to have them there and that sort of thing, and yeah, to see their eyes light up with everyone else's, it was great. So yeah, absolutely
awesome to see how busy the booth was throughout. Like it was just non-stop from start to finish.
I should have said earlier, hey Mike, good to see you. Liam, good to see you also. It was so run off of our feet. We didn't know each other for a few days.
Well, I had one of the who was it? It was one of the guys at the distributor dinner, and he said, I haven't even had a chance in the last 2 days to catch up with Josh. I said, well, he's out the dinner tonight, you might catch him. And I said, do us a favour, tell him I said hello. Because I haven't seen much of him either. Yes, no, absolutely. It was, I think maybe once or twice I finished something to eat and looked up and thought, now I need someone to go and talk to. And didn't take me long. Just stepped back on that stand and you were chatting away to someone soon enough. So
yeah, it's always nervous preparing for a show like that, or it's nervous preparing for a show like that, I should say, because you're not sure on who's going to rock up or who's even going to bother coming to.
It's not nervous at all. We just blame it on marketing if no one turns up. So yeah, it's fine from the sales side.
No, it was incredible. So big shout out and thank you to everyone that came along to say hello and check out the machines and have a chat about the products and everything in between. It was great to meet everyone. Yeah, awesome. Anything else you guys want to cover around the machines and the booth space?
I mean, yeah, it was amazing to see that if anyone's wondering, that reaction video that was put out, I did have to come in off my Christmas leave and put my Works Plus uniform on to come in and do that reaction video. So that shows you it wasn't a pre-recorded thing. It was absolutely live. It was happening right up to the point. And that was the last time I saw them until we got over there. And again, yeah, it's pretty awesome machine. It's not just it's like nothing else that's out there, and that's why it was pretty awesome to let everyone else now share in what's coming. So it's great.
Yeah. I mean, we had the grinders there that obviously going to be a big new release for us, but we also had another wall display at WOC, and that was the 2025 release wall. We had had a display set up just to showcase some of the products that we're going to be releasing throughout the year this year. Why do you want to do that?
So the machine, of course, has been a really big focus for the team last year. And there's obviously going to be a lot of focus on that this year as it goes into production. And one thing that we, of course, have been doing for quite some time is bringing out a new product at least every 2 months that increases productivity or increases quality of finishes, hopefully both. And we're not stopping that. So we brought a few teasers along for what's coming out earlier this year. So don't think that just because we're bringing out a new machine, we're stopping on bringing out all of the extra things to put in your toolbox or that you have to have one of these new machines to run them. That's not the case. We're going to continue doing what we have done in the past, and we still have the only thing that's happened is the research and development team has just grown to accommodate for where we're heading. So expect more.
Yeah, absolutely. I just put some notes here, that to show that exactly everything Josh just said, that we're still innovating with machinery, tooling, websites, and that's a big one, the website. Make sure you get on and have a look if you haven't yet, because I've had a lot of positive feedback with that. Staff moving into new roles, helping the business grow, and people being able to achieve what they need to achieve in that sort of thing there. So maintaining levels of service, and then I think I crossed that out and put actually increasing levels of service and product offerings and everything else during that stage, while all the while this WOC organising and machine, it's all happening in the background. Meanwhile, we're still out there and still fighting a good fight, and it was pretty awesome to see. A little bit of that proudness kicking in there, Liam.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should have brought some tissues to this podcast.
But I think that 2025 display was both awesome and also hard work, because everyone wanted to know. Everyone's like, yeah, that's great. What's this stuff over here? And it's like, talking about distributors and things that were there as well. So and that you can see that they were really impressed with what's to come as well. So it was really cool.
Stay tuned for more, I guess.
Absolutely.
So, any other highlights, guys? Did you guys get a chance to walk around, have a look at some of the other exhibitors, and what else was happening around the show?
We had on the Wednesday and the Thursday scheduled in for 11 o'clock for 2 hours to walk around the show. And,
good one.
Yeah, I guess that would have been nice. That would have been nice to go and have a look around. It would have been nice to have had lunch one of those days. So as far as the exhibits is concerned, we really only got to have a look around before the show and after the show, which was disappointing. But at the same time, I appreciate the fact that we were actually slammed for the entire duration of the show. So maybe next year.
Yeah, certainly got to have a quick look at some things on the way to some sort of amenity, whether it be to grab something to eat or find the lure or whatever it was. And I think it was very late in the last day. There was a few of us that managed a quick walk around, but even then just the outside immediate area to where we were. Mm-hmm. But it was great. As you mentioned at the start of the podcast, it's not just about grinding and polishing. There's big pump trucks. There's, all sorts of things. Yeah. So it was really cool to go around and I guess see my industry a bit.
It was cool seeing just how...
Have a bit of a chat to other people, and it was good.
Seeing how other suppliers or other companies presented their booth, it was cool seeing everyone's different approach to that. But I certainly from my end, I got a little bit of a chance to walk around and to have a bit of a peek to see what was being presented there. And I got to say, the Linrock machines,
yes,
they were interesting to say the least. Different design to what you typically see in the grinders. Yeah. And how big was that machine? That was a 1.6 metre?
That was a 1.6 metre single head grinder.
Yeah.
I want to sell some tooling for that machine.
Really, really different approach to their design.
Really, that was kind of cool intriguing to see. Yeah, very different design, very curvy, and even the colours and the way they finished the product.
Looks so user friendly.
And another one for me was going to the Makita booth, probably one of the bigger booths there. I thought it was pretty ballsy of them to have not only their drill on display, but having their competitor drills on display. So
wasn't it a trial thing?
Yeah,
it wasn't just on display. Like it was, there to compare. You know, you could operate each one and things like that. So yeah,
hey, that's an idea for next year.
We'll see how big marketing's going to make that inlay next year. Just tread lightly there, Josh.
Yeah, thanks. Good point.
Kind of leads to the last point of discussion for today. WOC 2026. Are you going to be there, or what's the go there?
Well, it's February, so
hands in face by Josh.
Yeah, let's. Do we double it?
The size of the inlay. Sure.
We're doing 2 logo inlays now.
4 colours, not 2, not 3. Yeah.
Add some more containers in there too. Why not?
Well, the concrete crew did such a good job. The flat workers
we need some more vinyl flooring.
Flat workers did such a good job, and let's see if we can stress them out next year.
In all seriousness, though, if it does happen, it's funny that it's funny that it's kind of like, oh, we kind of know what to expect now. I was just thinking we know what to expect now and it can be a bit more chilled out. It's like, nah, we'll just find other things to do to keep pushing ourselves and to keep pushing things and that sort of thing. So, yeah, I'm in boots and all, and if it does happen, it does come about, bring it on. It was awesome. It was basically, once all the setup was done, it was just chatting to a lot of people about all of our products and everything, and geez, you know, I could probably get a job doing that, I reckon. So bring it. Right in our wheelhouse for sales team. Love it.
So stay tuned, guys. Yeah, 2026. We'll see what happens. They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but we couldn't help ourselves. It was too epic to keep quiet about it. So I wanted to have just a quick chat to kind of let you guys know what went down, how it happened, and everything that happened in between. So thanks everyone for tuning into today's podcast episode.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. I'll be keeping an eye out for the Hayden and Tim one. I'm looking forward to that one.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Absolutely. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys. This show is proudly supported by Works Plus. Works Plus brings total solutions to all concrete grinding and polishing contractors to make it totally work for their daily operations. We hope you've enjoyed this show. Make sure to tune in each week where we're going to dive deep into all things related to concrete grinding and polishing. We're here to help you so that you can boost your outcomes on the floor.